like all of those things where it's like, you know, you can't now go to anybody, black, white, whoever, who will understand your experience.
That part.
You live in a parallel universe.
Right.
And so in my first episode, I talk about perspective and how it creates this duality in life. Where, for me, that was what I feel like was my superpower. And I now lean into that. Like I lean into the fact that I'm able to have this ability to, you see me, but I see you and how you see me.
Right.
Like I'm able to actually be in any predicament and understand it and then navigate through the world in a particular way like that because of I had to do that when I was young.
Yeah.
You know, like it's something that if you identify, you know, for example, my mom was struggled with substance abuse. If I didn't have enough willpower and I wasn't blessed to be around certain people, you know, in my life that had influence on me, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm meant to do. And best believe there were points in time where I identified with that. I identified with not deserving anything.
Yeah.
Until I had my daughter.
Yeah.
And I realized, well, she deserves everything.
That part.
So then it transformed me. And so yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I love that, brother. Like when you talk about just the power of the human condition and, you know, being in a space and realizing, hey, I can adapt to this world around me, right? Like once I become aware that there's a mirror that's looking at me and I'm reflecting back to people what they think they see in me, I can use that to my own kind of power, right? As opposed to some people looking like, oh, you see me like that? Oh, well, I'm show you, right? Not saying that any of those are wrong, but you get different results with each one of those approaches. And I love how you were talking about the X-Men, because I use them all the time in my examples about foster care, because it's like, yo, what made the X-Men so dope? And I'm into
Who did you like? Wolverine?
Comics. I mean, I'm
Magneto.
Here's the thing. I liked Xavier, right?
You like Xavier?
I liked Xavier because I think
OG.
he was an OG. Like he had his stuff, and you can tell that he went through things, right? And he just had this psychic kinetic power about seeing the world and like having conversations with folks. Like he was an observer from just who he was naturally, right? So I resonate with that. Like I consider myself to be an observer. And he was somewhat anthropological in his approach, right? He was like, yo, you come in, you lead. I don't know what it's going to be. So you had different teams that came in and did different stuff, right? And some people rose to the top. People had different skills, but he was hell bent on having a place that was diverse, right? Where it was like, yo, people come in and there's a lot of diversity in the experience, but it was like a group home. These kids were not accepted. Their parents did not want them, most of them, right? And were like, I can't have this kid here. They're showing certain things. I can't be associated with this kind of craziness. I got my life. Like, I don't want this kid, right? Like, I can't do it. Gone, right? And so there's always that scene when a kid comes from that world of not being seen, not being accepted, and they walk in and they see, somebody shooting fire, another person like hanging upside down from their toes, right? And their eyes just be like, what the And it's like, oh, for the first time, like I'm
around other people that's different like
yes. And it's accepted. Not only is it accepted, but it's celebrated, it's encouraged. Right. You know what I mean? And so I think, when you talk about your daughter and that idea, man, like when you become a parent, like I am too, you just want your kids to be like, just be you, baby. Like, do you. And the world needs to adapt to you. I don't want you feeling like you got to change who you are naturally.
Conform to anything.
Don't. Just because the world needs your light, because you came into this world and you brightened my life. You changed me.
Right.
You don't need to prove nothing to me.
Right.
And I want you to be the best version of yourself, and you go out and you do you.
Right.
And I think that's one of the things we're trying to create here at Peace for Kids. Like, yo, I'm not in judgment about how you show up. However you show up, whatever you do, whatever you come into the space will be what we're going to do. That's why for some generations, we did a lot of social justice work and advocacy. For some, we did music and film. For others, we did food and gardening, right? And now we're doing research. Like, I don't know, each group that comes in brings something different to the table.
Which which ties into my next question, because so I deal with fitness. You know, for me, I was part of a group out in Brooklyn. I mean, out in Harlem. You know, there was a brother out there. His name is Giant.
It's a nice name.
Well, this is like, you know, it's his name. We call him Giant. He started this group called Bartenders.
Okay.
And it was a nonprofit, and I mean, he's just a genius. You know, I think he did some time, and when he came out with this idea of like starting a group, a workout group, and basically just transforming like anything that you was going through in the hood. It don't matter what it was. We gonna come to the park, and we gonna work out.
I love it.
And you know, because you go to jail, I mean, they working out, and that's how they alchemize
all
their
that
mind,
pain,
right?
Mind,
It's like that's how you deal with your time, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like even when my brother was locked up, it's like he learned how to weld, he learned how to do all this stuff, and it's like he's skilled.
You're right.
Right? And so he came out teaching the youth, hey, you know, leave that alone, come to the park, and let's work on your body, which actually works on your mind. And I started to realize, like, it took me years to, like, I got it when I was a kid, but I really appreciated it when I went out into the world for myself, and I got into, like, personal training and coaching and starting my own business and, like, moving to a different state. And, like, now I teach this philosophy to people. And I realized that movement is expression.
Yeah.
So when I love art. I used to draw, I write. I consider even this form of a podcast, it's like art, where it's like you're taking expressions and stories and connecting them, and hopefully it transmutes into somebody else that when they watch this, they're like, oh, that's touching, and it's triggering something in me. And like artistry, like art to me is just, you know, they say life is the imitation. I mean, art is the imitation of
life.
Of life.
Yeah.
And so to me, I think like, when I think of Peace for Kids, and you're saying that you have all of these different generations of kids, or, you know, different types of kids of ages that come in and are like, oh, I want to do music, I want to do this, I want to do that. How important do you think that is that has transformed the kids that have come here? How important do you think has it been in transforming their lives? I mean, maybe you could talk about the book.
Yeah, I appreciate that question, man. And I will say, it kind of happened by chance. Because like I said, when we started here, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was 23 years old, right? I was like, I just got a question. I ain't got no answers.
Yeah.
I'm coming in. We're going to figure it out together.
Yeah.
And so the only thing that I knew back then was gardening and agriculture, right? Because I was a vegan. I didn't eat any meat.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, I'm going to start this garden. And we just, you know, grow, because when you're growing, you got time. You picking, you planting, you weeding, you do, you know, you just time, right? So I use that time to like talk to folks. And in the beginning, I thought it was my job to come in and like teach them something. I'm, you know, 23. You think you know what's going on in the world. You got all the answers, right? So I'm coming in like, I'm gonna teach these kids about being a vegan and about the power of the earth and being connected to Mother Earth and, you know, making their own
like,
food.
I eat chicken.
Right,
Like, I eat ribs.
That part, right? And so I'm like, you know, promoting veganism and going hard, and I'll never forget it, man. You know, I converted some kids. I was feeling proud. My chest popped out. Yeah.
I'm gonna get there.
You might. I'm not there anymore. I'm back and forth. I vegan, vegetarian.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget, like I had gotten this one kid to like go strictly vegan. And I got a call one night from a foster parent, and she was like, hey, this is Aid? I was like, yeah. She's like, it's Miss Johnson. Oh, hey, Miss Johnson, what's up? Oh, you gotta talk to these kids over here. Because I just made a pot roast, and that's what we having for dinner. And this kid over here telling me they ain't gonna eat. So if they not eating that, they ain't eating my house. So you need to tell them, if you want us to be vegetarians and vegans, Miss Johnson.
Miss Johnson wasn't having it.
She wasn't having it.